Isla is standing in a dress she paid 4 months of overtime for, watching her sister take the microphone for the second time. Nobody warned her there would be a second time. The first toast was supposed to be it. 3 minutes, maybe 4. Portia had asked for the mic just to say something quick, right after the best man sat down, and the DJ, who didn't know any better, handed it right over. That was 11 minutes ago. Isla's new husband, Callum, still has his hand resting on the small of her back. She can feel it there, steady, the way it's been steady all day. What she can't feel yet is what's coming. Portia is not talking about Isla. She's barely mentioned her at all. She's talking about growing up, about their mother, about a boy named Dean that Isla dated for 8 months in her 20s and never once mentioned to Callum. Because why would she? It was a decade ago. It was nothing. It was over before it started. Portia is telling the room otherwise. Dean used to say Isla had a type, Portia says into the mic, laughing the way you laugh when you want everyone else to laugh too, so no one clocks that you meant it. And Callum, buddy, I hate to break it to you, you're the type. The room laughs. It's a nervous laugh, the kind that doesn't know yet if it's allowed to be a real one. Isla doesn't laugh. She smiles, because that's what you do at your own wedding when your sister has the microphone and 200 people are watching to see how you'll take it. She smiles the way she's been smiling at Portia for 29 years, the practiced kind, the kind that costs something every time and never gets cheaper. Here's what nobody in that room knows yet, except Isla and now you. This isn't the first time. It's the third. There was the baby shower 2 years ago, when Portia stood up unannounced and told a story about Isla's ex that made the room go quiet in the wrong way. There was the engagement dinner 6 months back, when Portia raised a glass to Isla finally getting it right. Like every choice before this one had been a public failure everyone had been kind enough to sit through. Both times Isla laughed it off. Both times their mother told her afterward that Portia just has a way of talking and that Isla shouldn't make it a thing. So Isla didn't make it a thing. She made it a pattern instead. She just didn't call it that yet. What Isla did do, and this is the part she hasn't told anyone, not even Callum, is start recording, quietly, on her phone, propped against the centerpiece, angled just enough to catch the head table. She told herself it was for the memories, for the photographer in case something got missed. She knew, somewhere under that story, exactly what she was actually doing. Portia is still talking. She's onto a story now about a family trip when Isla was 16, something about a boy at a campsite, something that isn't cruel exactly, just close enough to it that it lands like it is. Callum's hand goes still on Isla's back, not tense, just still, like he's doing the math. He leans down. "Is this normal?" he asks, quiet enough that only she hears it. Isla doesn't answer right away, because the honest answer is yes, this is exactly normal. This is what normal has looked like for Isla's entire life, dressed up in different rooms, different microphones, the same hand reaching for the same spotlight every single time Isla was supposed to be standing in it alone. The dishonest answer, the one she's given every time before today, is, "She's just like that, don't worry about it." Isla opens her mouth to give him the dishonest answer. What comes out instead surprises both of them. "Give me the phone," she says to the wedding coordinator standing near the DJ booth. Not loud, not a scene, just certain. And that recording, the one Isla told herself was for the memories, is about to become something else entirely. The coordinator doesn't ask why. She just hands the phone over, because Isla's face has a look on it that ends questions before they start. Isla doesn't play it, not yet. She just holds it. And for a second, standing there in her dress with the microphone finally quiet and Portia still catching her breath from her own laugh, Isla lets herself think about how she got here. To understand this wedding, you have to understand the sisters before it. Isla was the fixer growing up, the one who apologized first, smoothed things over, made herself smaller so the room could stay comfortable.
Portia was the one the room orbited, the funny one, the loud one, the one whose stories always somehow ended with her looking better and everyone else looking like a punchline they hadn't agreed to be part of. Their mother, Marilyn, had a name for it that made it sound almost sweet. Portia just needs the attention, she'd say, like attention was a nutrient and Isla simply required less of it to survive. Isla believed that for a long time. Long enough that by the time she met Callum, she'd stopped noticing she was doing it, shrinking a little in every room her sister walked into, apologizing for things that weren't hers to apologize for, laughing at jokes that had her name stitched into the punchline. Callum noticed before she did. 6 months into dating him, he asked her, gently, why she always seemed to brace before Portia spoke. Isla laughed it off, her signature move, the one she perfected over 2 decades. She's just like that, she said. Family stuff. You get used to it. He didn't push, but he started watching. And what he saw, over a year of holidays and birthdays and one very tense Thanksgiving, was a pattern with Isla standing in the center of it every time, absorbing. If you've ever been the one who just needs to let it go in your own family, you already know exactly the exhaustion I'm describing. It doesn't announce itself, it just accumulates, one smoothed-over comment at a time, until one day you're standing in a wedding dress doing the math on 29 years of it. This is where I want to say something to you directly, because it matters more than the wedding does. If you're the person in your family who's always asked to be the reasonable one, the one expected to laugh it off, smooth it over, keep the peace at the cost of your own peace, I want you to know you're not imagining the pattern. And you don't owe anyone your silence just because it's more comfortable for them. That's it. That's the only ask I have for you today, and it costs nothing. If that landed, hit subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly that moment of recognition. And then let's get back to Isla, because she is about to do something her family has never seen her do. Isla presses record, not to capture anything new. The recording from the toast is already sitting on her phone. 11 minutes and 40 seconds of Portia's voice, saved the moment the coordinator handed it back. Isla presses record on something else. A note, spoken quietly into her phone, time-stamped, dated. A record of exactly how she feels in this moment, before anyone can convince her later that she's misremembering it, that she's overreacting, that she should let it go the way she always has. I'm not doing this because I'm angry, she says into the phone, low enough that no one at the head table hears her. I'm doing this because I want to remember, later, that I wasn't. She's not angry. That's the part that will surprise everyone, later, when this story gets told and retold at family gatherings for years. Isla isn't furious. She isn't plotting revenge at her own reception. She's just, for the first time in 29 years, done pretending the pattern isn't there. Portia sits back down at the head table, glowing, accepting a hug from an aunt who tells her that toast was just so Portia. She has no idea that her sister is sitting 3 seats away with a recording of her voice and a plan that hasn't fully formed yet, but is forming fast. By the end of the night, this reception will have a story nobody who was there will ever tell the same way twice. The reception moves on the way receptions do. Cake is cut, the DJ plays the song everyone requested. Portia is 3 drinks deep and telling the toast story again to a table that missed it live. Isla is dancing with Callum, smiling for the photographer. And underneath all of it, she's watching. This is the part of the pattern nobody else in the family has ever bothered to notice, because they've never had a reason to look for it. Portia doesn't just take the spotlight once. She circles back. She checks that it landed. She retells the joke to a new audience if the first one didn't laugh hard enough. Isla watches her sister do it 3 more times before the night is over. Here's the gap I need you sitting in for a second, because it's the whole engine of this story. You, watching this unfold, already know exactly what kind of person Portia is. You've clocked it. You've probably met a Portia in your own life. The one who needs the room, who takes what isn't offered and calls it a joke if anyone objects.
Isla doesn't know that yet. Not fully.
She's 29 years deep in she's just like that. What she's doing tonight isn't exposing her sister for the first time. It's the first time she's letting herself see what's been true the whole time. That gap between what you can already see and what she's only starting to. That's where this story lives. Marilyn finds Isla near the gift table, refilling water for guests, and puts a hand on her arm the way she has since Isla was small enough to need steadying. "You didn't let her get to you," she says, like it's a compliment. "I was proud of how you handled that." Isla almost says thank you. That's the reflex. 29 years of reflex sitting right there in her throat. Instead, she asks a question she's never asked her mother out loud. "Handled what exactly?" Marilyn blinks. "The toast. Portia can be what?" Isla says. "Not sharp, just steady. You always start that sentence and never finish it." Marilyn doesn't finish it this time either. She pats Isla's arm again and says something about the caterer needing her, and she's gone before the silence gets uncomfortable. Isla stands there a moment, water pitcher still in her hand, and something settles in her that wasn't there an hour ago. It isn't anger, it's clarity. And clarity is quieter than anger, but it moves differently through a body. It doesn't burn out, it just stays. "I want you to remember that pitcher of water, because in about 4 hours, someone's going to ask Isla why she seemed so calm through everything that happens next. And the answer starts right here, at the gift table, with a question her mother wouldn't finish." The reception winds down close to midnight. Guests start filtering toward the coat check, toward cars, toward the exhaustion that comes after a day like this one. Portia finds Isla by the exit, pulls her into a hug that smells like champagne, and says the thing she always says to close out a night like tonight. "Best toast I've ever given, right?" She's not asking, she's confirming. That's the tell, if you're looking for it. Portia doesn't wonder how a room received her. She tells you how the room received her, and waits for you to agree. "It was something," Isla says. Portia laughs, delighted, misreading it completely. Because why wouldn't she? 29 years of Isla agreeing has trained her to hear agreement even when it isn't there anymore. She has no idea her sister has 11 minutes and 40 seconds of that toast sitting in a phone at home, and a voice memo time-stamped from earlier tonight that says, quietly, calmly, "I'm doing this because I want to remember, later, that I wasn't angry." She has no idea that 2 nights from now, Isla is going to open the family group chat for the first time in months and post something that took her 29 years to write and about 90 seconds to send. The group chat is called Family, and it has 31 unread messages by the time Isla opens it, 2 nights after the wedding. Most of them are photos, cousins posting reception pictures, someone's kid in a bow tie, Portia posting a video of herself giving the toast with the caption, "Iconic moment." 41 seconds of the 11-minute toast, the part where the room laughs. Isla watches it twice. Then she does the thing she spent 29 years not doing. She doesn't call Portia. She doesn't pull her mother aside for a private conversation that will get repeated back to her in a softened, reasonable-sounding version by morning. She types directly into the family chat, where everyone who laughed that night can read it at the same time. She doesn't post the whole 11 minutes. She's thought about it, sat with the option, and decided against it. Not because Portia doesn't deserve the exposure, but because Isla isn't interested in a spectacle. She's interested in the truth landing exactly once, clearly, where it can't be softened by someone repeating it secondhand. So she posts one clip, 90 seconds. The part where Portia says, "You're the type," followed immediately by the story about the campsite when Isla was 16. Underneath it, she writes one sentence. This is the third wedding, birthday, or engagement where Portia has made someone's biggest day about her, and I'm done pretending I don't notice. If you've ever sat on a message like that, drafted it, deleted it, drafted it again for years, I want to ask you something. And I actually want you in the comments answering this one, because I read them. What's the moment that finally moved you from let it go to not this time? Was it one big thing, or was it small, like a caption with a fire emoji on it? Tell me. I promise you're not the only one who's been sitting on that exact sentence for years.
Now, back to that chat because it does not go quiet.
Portia responds in 4 minutes, not with an apology, with a question mark, then 3 more question marks, then a message that says, Isla is seriously doing this here at my sister's own wedding? Are you kidding me right now? Isla's own wedding. She said it about Isla's wedding like it belonged to someone else in the sentence. Marilyn responds next, and this is the part that Isla has been braced for since she was old enough to notice the pattern. Can we not do this in the group chat? Call your sister. Not, Portia, is this true? Not, Isla, are you okay? Just a request for the volume to go down. The same request Marilyn has been making Isla's entire life, always aimed at the person who finally spoke, instead of the person who gave them a reason to. This is where Portia makes her first real mistake, and she makes it in front of everyone. She doesn't apologize. She doesn't even deny it exactly. She posts a photo, an old one, from when they were teenagers, Isla in a moment that isn't flattering, captioned, "Since we're bringing up old stuff, apparently." It isn't a defense, it's a threat with a smiley face on it. Say something else and I'll say something worse. Isla stares at that photo for a long moment. This is the fork in the road every version of this story has, the place where the protagonist either folds back into the old pattern or doesn't. She doesn't type anything for 11 minutes, long enough that 2 cousins start commenting nervously about how everyone should just talk in person. Then Isla sends one more message. Not a photo, not a comeback. I have the full recording of the toast, all 11 minutes. I'm not posting it. I just want you to know that I could, and I'm choosing not to, because unlike you, I don't need an audience to make my point. The chat goes silent after that in a way it has never gone silent before. Not the polite silence of people scrolling past, the specific silence of people rereading something twice. Portia doesn't respond for 6 hours. When she finally does, it isn't in the group chat at all. It's a call, at 11 at night. And what she says on that call is going to change how their mother sees both of them for good. Portia is crying before Isla even says hello. Not performative crying. Isla knows her sisters perform tears, has watched them work on their mother for 3 decades. This is different, ragged, unrehearsed. Why would you do that to me in front of everyone? Portia says. Do you know how that made me look? And there it is. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I didn't realize. How it made her look. Even now, on a call meant to be a reckoning, Portia has found her way back to the center of the story. Isla lets the silence sit for a second before she answers. I know exactly how it made you look, she says, because it's how you've made me look, 3 times, in front of everyone who matters to me. That's different, Portia says. I was just being funny. You're being cruel. This is the sentence I need you to notice, because it's the whole trick laid bare. For 29 years, Portia's version of funny has cost Isla something every single time. And the moment Isla names it, the language flips. Suddenly noticing the pattern is the cruelty. Suddenly the person who absorbed it for 3 decades is the aggressor, and the person who did the damage is the one who gets to cry about being misunderstood. If you've ever had someone do this to you, reframe your boundary as the offense so fast you almost believed it yourself,
You already know how disorienting it is. It works because it's designed to work. It's not an accident that it always sounds almost reasonable. Isla doesn't take the bait this time. You weren't being funny, she says. You were being seen doing something you didn't expect to get caught doing. That's not the same thing. Portia goes quiet. Then, in a smaller voice than Isla has heard from her in years, Mom's going to hate this. She's going to think I'm the problem. And Isla realizes in that moment something that reorganizes 29 years of memory at once. Portia isn't actually afraid of losing her sister. She's afraid of losing the room, losing the version of the family where she's the funny one, the loved one, the one who gets away with it. And Isla is the reasonable one who absorbs the cost of that so nobody else has to. The recording didn't create that fear. It just finally showed it to both of them at the same time.
Maybe she will think that, Isla says. But that's not actually mine to manage anymore. I spent 29 years managing how things looked so you'd be comfortable. I'm not doing that tonight. Portia doesn't have anything to say to that. The call ends a few minutes later. No resolution, no apology that means anything, yet. Just two sisters who have, for the first time, said something true to each other instead of something smooth. 3 days later, Marilyn calls Isla. Not to relay a message from Portia, not to ask her to apologize for the group chat. She calls to say 4 words Isla has waited her entire life to hear. I should have said something. Marilyn's voice on the phone doesn't sound like the woman who told Isla for 29 years that Portia just has a way of talking. It sounds smaller, older somehow, in the space of 4 words. I should have said something, she says again, like she needs to hear herself say it twice to believe it. At the baby shower, at the engagement dinner, I kept telling you to let it go because it was easier than telling her to stop. Isla doesn't rush to comfort her. That's new too. The old Isla would have filled the silence immediately, told her mother it was fine, they were fine, everyone's fine. She lets the silence stay a moment instead. Why didn't you? Isla finally asks. Not cruel, just honest. Because you never seemed to need it, Marilyn says. You always just absorbed it. And I let myself believe that meant it wasn't costing you anything. That's the sentence Isla will think about longest later. Not Portia's toast, not the group chat. This one. The quiet admission that her whole family mistook her composure for consent for years, because it was more comfortable than asking what it was actually costing her to keep the peace. Portia doesn't call again that week. She sends one text 4 days later. I've been thinking about what you said. I don't totally get it yet, but I'm trying to. It isn't an apology. Isla knows that. But it's the first honest sentence her sister has sent her in longer than either of them would admit. Here's where this one lands, if you're wondering. Nobody got publicly humiliated. Isla never posted the 11 minutes. There was no dramatic confrontation at a family dinner with everyone watching. The whole thing resolved the way most real reckonings do. Quietly, unevenly, with more questions left open than answered. But something did change, permanently. Marilyn stopped finishing Portia's sentences for her at family gatherings. Isla stopped laughing at jokes that cost her something. And Portia, for the first time anyone in that family can remember, had to sit with a room that didn't immediately agree with her version of the story. If there's one thing I want to leave you with today, it's this. You do not have to expose someone publicly to stop absorbing what they've been doing to you privately. Sometimes the whole shift is just refusing to finish the sentence the way they expect you to. Sometimes it's one message, sent once, calmly, that you never have to repeat because you meant it the first time. You are not too much. They were just not enough.
And around here, we don't just survive it, we understand it.
Next time, I want to tell you about the sister who didn't wait 29 years, who caught the pattern on the very first birthday, and what it cost her to be believed that early. It's a different kind of hard. Stick around for that one.
The firelight is always on. I'll see you next time.